all seeing the magic of AI everywhere, right? It's pretty amazing. But here's the thing. We get so caught up in these brilliant algorithms, these super smart models, that we completely miss the real hero of the story. You know, the invisible engine that makes it all run. So, let's pop the hood, shall we? Because the real AI revolution, well, it isn't being written in code, it's being built with data.
So here's what we're going to do. We'll start with what I call the algorithm allure. That's the myth everyone's buying into. Then we'll dig into the data first principle. Basically, the unsung hero of this whole thing. We'll look at how this hero gets made, what happens when things go south, and finally, how we're trying to manage this new digital gold rush.
All right, let's dive in. And let's start with what always grabs the headlines. Whenever you hear about AI, what's the first thing people talk about? It's the algorithm, right? The super complex, super sophisticated, and yeah, let's be honest, kind of sexy model that seems to be doing all the magic.
And this quote from someone in the trenches, it just nails the culture perfectly. It's all about the show. You know, clients, bosses, they get all excited when you throw around a big fancy term like convolutional neural network. They don't want to hear about the boring, tedious, unglamorous work of just cleaning up data. But here's the secret. That's where the real magic happens. I mean, think about it. Names like GPT, Gemini, Claude, these are the rock stars of the AI world. They're all anyone talks about, from news articles to company boardrooms. And there's this idea, right, that if you just get your hands on a powerful enough model, poof, problem solved. But focusing only on the model, man, you are missing the entire point.
So, that brings us to the real question, the big pivot. If the algorithm is this incredible engine, what's the fuel? I mean, what's the one thing that can take the most powerful AI model on the entire planet and make it completely and utterly useless?
And this is where we really get to the heart of it. You see, the future of AI, it's not really about building fancier algorithms. It's about getting better data. It's what we call the data first principle. And honestly, it's time we put the spotlight on this unsung hero.
Okay, let me just say this as clearly as I possibly can. There is no AI without data. Period. Full stop. It's the foundation. It's the lifeblood. It is the absolute #1 thing you need before any AI system can even begin to learn or think or create anything at all. And I love this analogy. Think of it this way. Data isn't just some ingredient you throw into the mix. No. It's more like the AI's DNA. It is the genetic code that determines everything about it, right from the very beginning. And if that code has flaws, biases, mistakes, big gaps, then the AI is basically born with those same limitations, and it doesn't matter how powerful its brain is. Now, you've probably heard this saying before, and it's repeated for a very good reason. For a long time, oil was the world's most valuable resource. Not anymore. Now it's data. Just like oil fueled the entire industrial revolution, data is the commodity fueling the AI revolution. And the companies that have the best data, they're the ones who are going to own the future. And get this, up to 80%. Just think about that. That means for every 5 days an AI expert works on a project, 4 of those days could be spent not on some brilliant coding masterpiece, but on the tough, grinding work of just getting the data ready. The algorithm gets all the credit, but this is where the real work gets done. It's not a side job, it is the job. So this really points to a huge shift in how we should be thinking. The old way, the model-centric way, was to say, okay, our data is what it is, let's just keep tweaking the code forever to make it work. But the new way, the data-centric way, flips that completely. It says, let's use a solid model and instead focus all our energy on making the data better and better. And you know what? It turns out that better data almost always beats a fancier algorithm. Okay. So we all agree high-quality data is the goal. But how in the world do we get there? Because it's not just about having a ton of data, right? It's about having the right data. And getting there, well, that takes a very careful, detailed process called data curation.
And data curation, it's really a craft. It's a professional skill. It's this whole process of taking all this raw, messy, chaotic data from everywhere and turning it into something clean, reliable, and powerful. Something that's actually ready to train a great AI.
And this craft has some clear steps. First, you've got to discover it. Go out and find the right raw materials. Then you organize it and clean it up, kind of like a sculptor chipping away all the extra stone. After that, you annotate it, which just means labeling it so the AI knows what it's looking at.
And finally, you have to maintain it, because data gets old, right? You have to keep it fresh. If you skip any of these steps, you're basically building your AI on a foundation that's full of cracks.
So when we say quality data, what do we actually mean? Well, it really boils down to a few key things. Is it accurate? Is it consistent? Is it complete with no big holes in it? Is it timely, up to date? And maybe the most important question of all, is it actually relevant to the problem you're trying to solve? If you fail on any one of these, you can bet your AI's performance is going to take a hit.
Okay, and this is really important. This whole thing isn't just some techie exercise to get a better score on a chart. No, the quality of your data has huge real-world consequences. And if you get it wrong, it can cause very real harm.
I mean, take a look at this example. It's pretty disturbing, frankly. You have photo recognition software that literally doesn't recognize the facial expressions of people from certain ethnic minorities. Why? Because the dataset it was trained on didn't have enough pictures of them. The algorithm isn't evil. It's just a mirror, reflecting the flawed education we gave it. The data was biased, so the AI became biased.
It all comes back to the oldest rule in computer science: garbage in, garbage out. And with AI, that rule is more important than ever. And AI is only ever going to be as good or as fair as the data it's trained on. So if you feed it garbage, incomplete, biased, just plain wrong data, well, you're going to get garbage out the other end. And the scary part is, you'll get it at a massive scale.
And the risks here are huge. We're talking about AI confidently spitting out misinformation. We're talking about systems that take old historical biases and bake them into our future. We're talking about privacy being completely eroded. Bad data can take a tool that's full of promise and turn it into a real problem for society. And that is why this whole craft of data curation is so absolutely critical.
So with stakes this high, it's really no surprise what's happening next. We're seeing a massive, global race, not just to build AI, but to build the infrastructure and the rules to govern the data that fuels the whole thing.
And the scale here is, well, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. We're talking over $1 trillion, 1,000 billion. And that's just the investment announced in the first part of 2025 alone. That number should tell you everything. This isn't just another tech trend. This is a complete restructuring of the global economy, all centered on one thing.
And this is what that investment is building. These giant data centers. They're the new factories of the 21st century. And just like an old-school factory, if you want to make a good product, you need serious quality control. In the world of AI, that quality control is called data governance. It's the whole set of rules and processes you put in place to make sure your data is accurate, secure, and used in an ethical way.
The smartest companies out there are realizing something pretty simple. You can't govern AI if you don't govern your data first. The future here is this integrated approach, where the rules for data and the rules for AI are all under the same roof. The end goal? To build a system where people and AI can work together to manage data, making sure everything is transparent, safe, and actually aligned with what we value as humans.
Which of course leaves us with one last massive question. In this new world that's being built on AI, all the data that you and I create every single day, that has become the most valuable resource on the planet. So the real question for all of us is, who should get to control it?